In this week's episode, we're going to dive a little deeper into fire season preparation.
Mossy Oak Properties, where outdoorsmen find their favorite place.
Mr. Cody Altizer, if I were to tell you, I want to discuss this upcoming season's, fire preparation in the winter season. Is that a good idea? Why would we?
Because failing to prepare is preparing to fail. And failure and fire, those are two words we do not like to use in the same sentence.
Yes. It's not usually good for many things and many reasons, right?
No.
Yeah, but what a great time. We talked about other things using the month of December or just the winter season to get ready for. We talked about food plots, we talked about timber stand improvement, reference equipment and programs and cutting, and now's a good time.
Yeah.
And we kind of mentioned fire, but we wanted to go a little bit further with that.
Yeah.
What a great time, the winter season, to get things ready. That is as an important tool.
Yeah.
Because what it does for wildlife, but it's a tool that, if done unwisely, can be costly for wildlife and for other things.
Yeah. Fire arguably is the most effective tool we have as wildlife managers to influence wildlife habitat. So much good can be accomplished just from just one flame dropping from a drip torch. And kind of rightfully so, fire, you should never be afraid of it, but you should be very cautious of it. And that's why we really want to stress what we want to talk about in this video is just being prepared, so when the time comes to put flame on the ground for wildlife, you have peace of mind to know that you've installed your fire breaks correctly, you have the proper PPE, you have the right permits, you have the help of foresters if you need it, you have help from neighbors, you've communicated to your neighbors that when they see smoke, it's from you and all is okay and it's a safe, controlled burn.
Yeah, and first things first, let's dive right on into this. If you want to consider burning, you have to understand there's laws, there's permitting, depending on the state that which you reside in.
Yeah.
So you have to make sure that you're allowed to burn.
Exactly.
You're seeing all this on YouTube and social media, etc. It's all glamorous, it's all great. You understand even the concept of it, what you can do, and you're all excited. And then, you know what? You light the flame. And then you hear sirens, and you're like, what's going on, man?
Right.
They didn't tell me any of this in the video.
Yeah.
But yeah, doing the correct information search on whether you can or not, and everything is usually, a click away when it comes to your specific state. Contact your division of forestry. Contact your local fire department. There are many resources, the DNR, Soil and Water. There are many resources out there that will let you know whether you can burn, what type of burns, what time of year that you can burn, if you need permits or training to do that. Like, I am a prescribed burn manager. I had to go through several courses to be able to burn whenever I wanted, whether there was a burn ban or not, even during the day. But I had to go through courses. That doesn't just gives me the reason, or I can just go light everything. No, I have to even contact the state EPA. They get their blessing because of smoke. Smoke anymore, especially in Ohio, we're a rural state, but there's houses everywhere.
Yeah.
And smoke control is very key, and EPA wants to make sure that you are doing the correct things to accomplish that.
Right.
So permitting. Getting permission to do that. Sometimes contacting your local fire department and getting written permission from the fire chief. It's sometimes as simple as that.
Yeah.
There's times where you will find out where you can burn without any training, with any permitting.
Right.
Because there'll be a burn ban. Usually it's March, April, May. But after a certain time of the day, 6 p.m. to 6 a.m., usually you can burn. So there's a lot of things. I just said a lot there.
Right.
But that just shows you non of it's hard.
Yeah.
None of it's hard, though.
You said a lot there, but all that information can be easily learned with a phone call.
It's as simple as that.
Yeah, very little work. Communication on a controlled burn is really important, and it kind of starts right there. Calling everybody, not to repeat what you just said, but making those phone calls and learning. You might not even be allowed to burn in your state or in your area. Finding that out first would be very important. Learn about your burn bans. All that communication, Eric communicated a lot. of information there, but it's all easily attainable just with a couple phone calls.
Yeah, and while you're talking to the local fire department, because they will somehow, some way be contacted, whether you have permission to burn or not, you should be contacting them to letting them know that you are doing that, or the sheriff's department. Invite them, get them on the thing, a list of people to help you, because they need the training, constant training as well. They love to be trained, and a phone call asking them to partake in your burn, especially if you're doing a burn the first time.
Yeah.
That everybody's like, okay, at least if everything goes wrong, we got a big tank full of water, So there's, again, that would be usually your first step. And again, great time of year to get all your ducks in a row. And then the next thing, usually, there could go many directions here, but PPE.
Yeah, PPE, very important when it comes to fire, obviously. I mean, fire, it can be dangerous. It's not something you should ever be afraid of, but heaven forbid something goes wrong, it is something you should be prepared for in that event. And PPE, protecting yourself, is step one of that process.
Yeah, and sometimes doing, you look at the forest fires out west, fighting, they have the yellow shirt, the green pants, and the helmets and all this stuff, and fire garb, which all that stuff, is expensive.
Yeah.
It can get expensive.
Yeah.
Can you do controlled burns without any of it? Absolutely.
Yeah.
But you can run a chainsaw without chaps as well. Is that a great idea? No. So doing what you financially can afford to do, that's number one, and just doing safety. You can burn in a white t-shirt and blue jeans and your leather boots and gloves and without a helmet and all that stuff. Cody wears it, I wear it. It's just good practice to wear it. So don't get caught up that you have to go get this ensemble and look like the people on TV. Not at all. You can just go out there and do it, especially with your equipment. Drip torches, getting, ordering those and stuff. You can do it with a lighter.
That's right. Exactly.
So go to your, but getting all the right equipment makes it go a lot smoother, a lot safer, and all that stuff. And now is a great time. We're going to say this a bunch throughout the video. Now is a great time to do that.
Yeah, the theme of this video is prep work. And I know for me, I've been doing burns for a couple years and have some experience with it, but I'm still a little nervous, and I'm sure you've been doing it for a very long time. You're always nervous, like as soon as it starts. And if you can check all these boxes, as many boxes as you can, it just gives you so much peace of mind. And peace of mind is invaluable, especially when it comes to a controlled burn. As you mentioned with the PPE, do you need all of it? No, but if it's within your means, it's better to have it and not need it than need it and not have it.
Yep. So the next thing that is just as important as the first two is, I don't like burning without them. I have, but that's with a lot of people that I trust alongside of me, is the fire breaks. Fire break preparation is key to any successful fire season.
Yeah, I just mentioned peace of mind, and there's nothing that gives me more peace of mind on a controlled burn than a nice, big, fat, juicy fire break. And a fire break.
The sense of security.
Oh, I know.
What he said is crazy, but it is. A sense of security just makes it a lot easier.
Absolutely, and kind of the bigger, the better. We're going to talk about the different types of fire breaks, but when you've got that sense of security, that's a great way to put it. You know that fire is going to be controlled and contained within the area that you want it to be.
Yeah, and again, getting a dozer. If you're doing some serious fire breaks like woodland fires, getting a dozer in there, getting it, again, getting on the list for a dozer to come. So that way when fire season does happen, we mentioned in the past video, you can hit the ground flaming. Instead of getting the dozer guy in there and missing your window, your humidity, your ceiling, your smoke ceiling, all that stuff that we'll be teaching you later in later episodes. But going out there, brush hogging and getting it prepped to even use a mower plow, a tiller, to get all that stuff. Preparation is key, again, so that way you hit the ground running instead of waiting on weather, because weather is the number one that can kill anything, whether it's just too dry, because there is such thing.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, there is such
Especially
thing as too dry, too wet, too muddy, too much wind, not enough wind. The mixing height, which takes that smoke up, is too low. The ceiling's too low, and it's just going to smoke out your neighborhood, and people are not going to love you. So all that stuff The more preparation, the better. And also, Cody mentioned contacting the neighbors.
Yeah.
God, that is so important to build a relationship, especially if you do fire on your own. Getting that relationship so that way when, years to come, they smell smoke, they just know it's Crazy Cody burning. It's
Right.
not even an afterthought.
Right.
So that is making sure that everybody is on board with that.
Yeah, and that goes back to communication. With controlled burns on our place, we've been doing it for 3 or 4 years, and yeah, the first burn we did, I think the neighbors and we gave them a heads up, let them know, hey, we're going to be burning. If you see smoke, it's us. All is good.
Yeah.
But they didn't trust us as much then as they did now, rightfully so. We've been doing it long enough. We communicate to them every time that if you see smoke, it's us. We're doing a controlled burn, and we've been doing it for a few years now.
Yeah.
We always communicate to them what we're doing, and we've built that trust with our neighbors that, they feel good about us doing it, which again gives us peace of mind that, we're doing what we can to create as safe a situation as possible. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mentioned the one thing that gives me the most peace of mind on a controlled burn is a big fire break. The bigger the better. The second best thing is as many people dotted around that burn area as possible. I mean, back home, you and I burned little 1 acre clear cuts, and you and I have done them on our own just fine, but if there were 2 more people, you feel so much better. The more eyes and the more bodies you have around the fire, the less likely something is going to go wrong, or if something goes wrong, you've got eyes and ears to spot it and communicate that. So this time of year, and a lot of times back home, I know there's a lot of guys who, when we burn, they're like, oh, I wish I knew you were burning. I'd like to help. I'd like to learn. So call ahead of time, line up some buddies and say, hey, we're going to be doing some burning this year. When we get conditions are right, do you want to help? I mean, I don't know many people who be like, no, I don't want to participate in a controlled burn.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's the thing with friends and professionals that you could ask for, because there are sometimes, obviously, the fire departments may or may not be trained in it, but it's still somebody that deals with fire.
Yeah.
And, there's so many things, depending on how big your fire is. The preparation work, again, this time of year, you can have markers where it's 1 to, let's say, 20. And that way, when you go, I'm at 1. And then I know when Cody gets at 3, you radio, there's numbers on stakes and stuff. That made sense.
Yeah.
That way everybody knows, hey, I'm at 3, I'm at 4, I'm at 5, depending on how large your control burns are. So that way communication, but teaching people that prior to burning instead of the date of the burn would make a little bit more sense than what I just tried to do. But also one thing too, I'm going to backtrack a little bit, Cody, is the the permitting and stuff. But a lot of states, I know our state just had a training to become prescribed burn managers and stuff. Looking into your state regulations where, the local, the common guy or gal can't burn, but if you're trained, you can burn. So looking into training dates prior to can actually help you along and help wildlife, but also put some coin in your pocket, because there is a lack of people out there that are qualified burning. All those programs, the CRP programs, WIP, all that stuff that controls pollinators, all that stuff that needs burned. There's some people that are afraid of fire, and rightfully so.
Yeah.
But if you could make some coin.
Yeah, that's really well said. And to go back to equipment, you mentioned radios. If you have the means, add radios to your list of controlled burn PPE or your equipment list. They are invaluable, because fire can be loud, it can be windy, you're going to be multiple people on the line, you're going to be far apart. Having a little radio that says, hey, move forward, hey, I got a hot spot, hey, I got this, can be a heck of a lot easier communicated through a radio than shouting across a clear cutter or doing hand signals. It goes back to peace of mind. When my dad and I are burning, or you, me, and my brother, whenever there's people on a burn, when burns go well, it can be a little boring.
Yes.
Fire creeps along as it should, and you can get a little bored. Boring is good when it comes to a controlled burn, but if I can't see somebody, Dad, how's it going? All good. Makes you feel so much better, instead of wondering, does Dad need my help? Has it gotten away from him and he can't communicate to me?
So you stop, dropping, and rolling. I don't know. Exactly. I don't know what he's doing.
Exactly. So of all the equipment that I have for controlled burns, radio honestly is at the top of my list.
Yeah. We went over a lot of things, what you can be doing during the winter season, fire prep, fire breaks, permitting, training. equipment.
Yeah.
All that stuff. It's just like timber stand improvement, food plots. It's just a checklist of stuff that you need to, you need to, you need to check off prior to lighting fire on any, whatever, it's a woodland burn, warm season grass, pollinators. Fire is a very, it's an amazing tool in our management toolbox. We use it, and when done safely, like we mentioned prior to the video, it can accomplish so much.
Right.
It can accomplish financial aspect of things as well as for wildlife. But being prepared more than anything that we can discuss, whether it's food plots, timber stand improvement, making sure, I'd rather take a dull chain than to have, something go wrong with fire, something that I didn't prep. I'd rather do that all day than a fire. The fire break didn't get done, and I know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Oh, I got it. Next thing you know, you're calling the fire department and everyone hates you.
Yeah.
So fire preparation, 'tis the season for sure.
That's right.
Mossy Oak Properties, where outdoorsmen find their favorite place.